Howdy, y'all. So I picked up a brand new block for this build because the other block was just rusted to crap. I mean, it was bad. So the truck came out of Canada. It was one owner before me, and when I bought it, I mean, the truck was in absolutely excellent shape as far as well, I thought it was. It was an absolute excellent shape as far as mechanicals and everything else go. Body, everything was just fantastic on it. The problem was probably the salty roads that are probably prevalent up there in Canada. And, so Dodges are already little rust buckets because they don't put protective coating on a lot of stuff. But the engine itself had just a really bad factory paint job, and there was a lot of rust on it. Of course, you couldn't see a lot of that when the engine's in the truck, but I could see a couple of corners of it that were pretty rusty, and I thought, no, that's, just bad paint job, whatever. When I got the thing out of the truck, realized it was just rusted to pieces. It was just horrible how bad some of the corners and things were on it. It just layers and layers of rust peeling off. So I looked at getting the block hot tanked, cleaned, redone, all of that good stuff, and, board honed, decked, I mean, the whole nine. And the cost would have been pretty much as a new bare block would cost with a standard bore in it. So I ended up opting for that just so I could get a brand new one, not have to worry about it, not have to worry about possibly some of that rust of causing some issues or any other unknown issues with the thing. So that's how I ended up here with this block. Just picked up my brand new block from Dodge. Casting number 53021318, Delta Lima. Just checking over everything. Rear cam bearing. A little difficult to see on the video, but you can see it's dented on the back side and where the camshaft will actually ride, and again on the front side there's two dinks, one more noticeable than the other right next to each other on the front side, inside as well. So that cam bearing is no good, it needs to be replaced. So this was the first block. Then the Dodge dealership said they'd have to send it back and get a replacement. So I waited another several weeks, like 2.5 weeks or so, if I recall right, for a second block that was shipped, ground freight from the East Coast. And so waited for that one and received that block, and much to my surprise and utter disappointment, the second block had a bad rear cam bearing as well. Same location, obviously a different block because they still had the other one sitting there to ship back, and obviously a new damage to the rear cam bearing. So whoever was putting these things in at the factory just didn't care, didn't have a clue what they were doing, something. So the second one you're seeing in the photo here is not as bad looking as the first one, but that damage on there was actually sharp enough it could cut my finger on there. So obviously not something you want riding on your brand new cam bearing. And even there is such tight tolerances getting these things in on the bearings that sometimes even a little dink like that doesn't look like much to the eye, but it's a thousandths or 2 thousandths sticking down, and the cam bearing won't even go in, past it. So, ended up getting that block, and with the same problem, told them, all right, guys, this is ridiculous. I need my engine here. And so they said, well, we'll have to send it back again. And I said, no, there's got to be another solution. Much to my dismay and amazement, I shouldn't be surprised, but they can't even change a cam bearing in-house. And I own a whole lot of tools, but a cam bearing installation tool was not one of them. Yes, you can put them in with other things. Didn't want to do that on a brand new engine, brand new build. So I said, well, hey, you know what? Buy me the cam bearing installation tool and a new bearing, and I'll do it myself. But they wouldn't do that either. But they have no ability to actually put a cam bearing in at the dealership. So if you have a spun cam bearing and you bring it to a dealer for service, they're going to make you get a whole brand new engine because they can't fix your cam bearing and replace your cam. So anyways, talked to them into getting it to a local machine shop and ended up getting a local machine shop to replace that. Still took like another week and a half. And finally got it on my third attempt. Finally had my block all together, ready to go to begin this build.